The NBA playoffs are still going full steam ahead with some exciting games, highlights, and storylines every single night for about a week now for fans to feast upon. Now that the first round is almost halfway over and we've switched locations in these series, let's look at 4 takeaways we have from this far in the first round. First takeaway is that the sun is setting in Phoenix, and quite honestly, the Suns have been playing pretty pathetic throughout their first 3 games against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and is one of the most surprising outcomes of this playoff so far, as they are down 0-3 and they just dropped Game 3 on their home floor in embarrassing fashion. Does that ring a bell? There was a lot of people, including myself, that picked the Suns, as I was heavily asleep on the Wolves defense and the overall team. I knew that they were a good team and they'd have been playing good all year. They had the defensive player of the year, the 6th man of the year, good role players, and a budding superstar, but I didn't expect the beatdown to be this bad, especially against a team that they did not have success against in the regular season. I mean, the Suns had these guys beaten every game in the regular season in good fashion while holding Edwards at bay every game. But that's why they say the regular season is not the playoffs. The increased physicality has been a big advantage for the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the more finesse team in the Phoenix Suns. Not to mention Jaden McDaniels, Nikola Alexander Walker, Anthony Edwards, and Rudy Gobert have made life a living hell for anyone who has touched the floor. And on the other end, Edwards has made mostly all the right plays, taken over games, talked his trash, and his emotion leaks throughout his teammates. It kind of reminds me of Kobe or Michael Jordan, of how they were just such a stone cold killer, and their team kind of picked up on that mindset and wanted to play like him and gave more effort. Nikhil Alexander Walker has played like a top 5 role player, so I just wanted to set up some lights on him and his job that he's done on Devin Booker, and anyone that he's picked up, he's been forcing turnovers, and he's been shooting like one of the best players in the league. So just to shed some light on Nikhil Alexander Walker, he has been playing outstanding. And not to mention Rudy Gobert, he is defeating all of his postseason narratives about he can be played off the floor, he can, be able to switch out this and that. He has been doing good defending anyone who he has been matched up on. So hats off to Rudy Gobert. And maybe this is what he would have been looking like if he had defenders around him, which he did not have in Utah. So all in all, the Suns are playing like a team with no heart or no effort on the rebounds. They're missing a lot of communication on how Minnesota scores. They're getting open threes, open dunks, and it looks like that they honestly quit on each other. Series will probably be done in 5 because sweeping an NBA team, especially one with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, is extremely hard, and especially for a young team that has not been in this position. But would I be surprised if this was a sweep? I mean, judging on the first 3 games, I would not. But I think this will be done in 5, if not 4, due to the lack of toughness that the Suns have been proposing. Their stars are underperforming, and it's not, of course it is their fault, but they are going against a very stifling Minnesota defense, so their production is probably going to be under their season averages. They always had a lack of depth in this season, and they have just not been playing well, and this might be their worst matchup of the first round. And it's kind of crazy to me, because there was a lot of people saying that this was Minnesota's worst matchup in the first round, because judging off the regular season, the last game that they played in the regular season, where Phoenix had a very good showing against them, but things have changed, coaches have made adjustments, and this series is going to be over. That takeaway from the playoffs so far is that the Bucks are just an unlucky franchise. Throughout the years after the Bucks won their first championship in the last 20 years, the Bucks have been the definition of unlucky in terms of their health. After 2021, when they won their championship, the following year in 2022, they had a good playoff run, but unfortunately, Chris Middleton was not available for a second-round battle versus the Boston Celtics, who would eventually go on to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals that year. Missing your second-best players in a series like this immediately pulls your hands behind your back, and they lost that series as they should have, even though they came extremely close, as Giannis Antetokounmpo was at the peak of his powers, and he pushed the Celtics to a good 7 games. In 2023, that following year, Giannis was dealing with the injury that had him missing important games versus the Miami Heat, who were the 8th seed. Although they were an 8th seed and a play-in team, this team would also go on to represent the Eastern Conference in the Finals that year as well. Missing your best player and having him possibly hurting during that series was something Bucks fans wish was not the case. But again, they were unlucky. And now you have this year. Giannis has not even suited up in this NBA playoffs yet due to a lower body injury that he suffered at the back end of this NBA season. And now Damian Lillard has re-aggravated his Achilles injury in a Game 3 loss to the Pacers. Now both of your best players are probably going to be down, and your next game is down 2-1 on the road versus a team that had your number all this year. The crowd is going into it, and the Pacers are going to probably feel like this is their chance to really stamp it and win this series, because obviously we all know a team that goes up 3-1 is they're not probably going to lose. I mean, it's over 89%, 90%. If you're going up 3-1, especially on the circumstances like this, you're going to win the series. So I'm pretty sure the Pacers are going to come out and try their best to win game 4. And it is looking very bleak for the Milwaukee Bucks again, and not necessarily due to their own reasoning. Sometimes the injury bug just keeps stinging. Around